All right, hello, Idiots on Parade, the too ugly for TV podcast. We mock the news so you don't have to. I am Nathan Timmel, stand-up comedian in Iowa City. With me, as always, is Jake Vevra, stand-up comedian in New York City. Hello, Jake.
How's it going?
All is well here. Rain, glorious rain, coming down from the sky, which we need. We're about to get hit. Is New York in the heat index? I mean, we're about the half the country is about to get pounded with a fucking. We're on a heat index. Yeah,
it's gonna be like 100 on Tuesday or something.
Oh no, we've got it on Saturday and Sunday. We've got it starting Saturday, going through Sunday.
Okay,
so it'll be pushing east then, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I think in the 90s. I gotta look at it again. I haven't actually looked at it. Other people have just told me, so I could be remembering that wrong. But yeah, it's going to get hotter and hotter as the weekend goes on and as the week begins. So,
yes. Well, we're almost to July. All right. Do you want us to jump in with documentaries or news?
Let's do news first. You know, actually, fuck that. Let's do docs first. First because I don't want the news ones to take up the whole time. You know. Cool.
Did you get a chance to watch Surviving Ohio State?
I did. That was pretty wild. Because I barely remember that happening. I mean, that's how, you know. All
I remember is Jim Jones getting raked over the coals, and obviously deservedly. Jim Jordan. Jim Jones drinking the Kool-Aid. I got my Jims too. Confused.
And that's mainly what I remember about that.
Yeah.
And deservedly so. I didn't realize. Yeah. I mean, I figured it was one of those things that, like, some people told him this throughout the years. He'd worked with this doctor for a long time, and he was like, he seems like a good dude. I think the kids are confused. You know what I mean? Like, Not that we should probably look into it more than that, but I chalked up to that. No, you watch the doc. It's even more insidious than that. I mean, the dude knew full on well. It's just that the coaches were covering for this guy, and the higher-ups at the school were covering for this guy because he had been given the student-athlete steroids.
They'd been winning championships.
Not only have they been winning championships, but if it comes out that, like, the coach knew that the kids were getting steroids or molested, whatever, then it looks bad on the coaches. So it was one of those things to where it's like, we have to cover this guy up to protect the school from a scandal. And it was, just the level. I didn't realize just how much they knew. You know what I mean? I thought it was more of those, like, we're just sort of kind of looking the other way on accusations and telling us, he's a good guy, he wouldn't do it. No, it's way worse than that.
It's the documentary on HBO, Surviving Ohio State. Absolute recommend. Here, so what we're talking about is a doctor just exactly, and it's funny, I was going to say exactly like Larry Nassar with the women's gymnastics team in Michigan. I was trying to say gymnastics in Michigan at the same time. Just like Larry Nassar, it was a school doctor, and this dude, I already forgot his name. I should have written it down. Begins with an S. He would examine the players for wrestling and hockey and fencing.
Was it Strauss? Dr. Strauss? That's not right?
Yeah. And every single exam involved.
I love that. I couldn't remember his first name, so I'm going, it's doctor, damn it. We call that man by his professional title. He still went to school. I don't care what he did afterwards, but he went to, you call him Dr. Strauss.
Dr. Perversion Strauss. But
that's right.
Every single exam, every single one involved a thorough genital check. I just tried saying thorough and genital at the same time. I'm trying to combine words. But my favorite part was the hockey player who got hit in the foot with a puck, goes to the doctor, hey, I got hit in the foot. And the doctor says, all right, get naked, got to check your genitals. I mean, everything. And I say that was my favorite part. My absolute favorite part is, so this goes on for forever. This goes on for years. And of course, this makes the most sense in the world. The fencing coach is the only female coach in the school there. And someone brings it to her attention. She starts fucking hammering it immediately. A woman who knows what sexual assault is, who is more in tune with sexual assault. All the guy coaches, just sort of ignores it. She fucking in 10 years, she's reporting him, trying to get him censured, trying to get him fired. And finally, the best she can do is, all right, I'll step back from being the doctor for the fencing team. But I just love the fact that it was a woman that heard one thing and stepped forward immediately, whereas every guy coach, like Jim Jordan, was like, he's winning. Let's just not talk about it.
That's right. She knows how to defend in sword fights. And so but there's also, so not only is it, I think her being a woman had a big part to do with maybe her sensitivity. But also the more cynical side of my brain is also going, well, the main reason that they were covering up for that guy is he was juicing their athletes. So not only are they performing better, but if that guy goes down, like if you snitch on me, I snitch on you, right? So I would imagine. Now, I don't know what type of steroids a fencing team needs. Probably not the same as like juicing a wrestler or a football player or something. You know what I mean?
I mean, you don't want to be bulkier. You want to be faster for fencing.
Yes, I can't. I'm not saying it's not a real hard athletic sport. I've never done fencing. I'm sure there's a lot of cardio involved. I don't know that steroids gives it. I don't know about a steroid. I'm here to fence, I don't know that steroids are really going to help you that much in fencing. So I don't think that she was on the hook like the other guys were, because I don't think he was juicing the fencers.
I started laughing because I just had a flashback. I hadn't had this thought in years. In 10th grade, I took speech class. It was a requirement, and we had to give a how-to speech. And I remember my how-to was how to pull a prank. And back then, you could smoke right outside the school doors. And I talked about putting like matches in cigarettes. Like you roll the cigarette to get the tobacco out. You put a match in, then you stuff the tobacco back in. So when they light the cigarette, match.
Sure.
This guy, Steve Knight, his how-to was how to fence, and he came in full, and he was already sort of a nerdy guy with not a lot of friends, and he comes in and puts on the full fencing gear, and he's prancing and holding his rapier, however you say it, out front. And man, you talk about a guy that was already in the social basement. That just killed any chance he had with girls or masculine friends. It just killed it. Todd Rubel is here. Hello, Todd. And Tired of Liars is showing up. Hello, guys.
Yes. And Todd says, you mean a prostate exam isn't normal for a hangnail? It is with my doctor if I slip him an extra $20. I'll tell you.
So, yeah, Tired, we are talking about surviving Ohio State and the fact that this doctor, I mean, and then the hockey player, he Tired of says it's called a rapier.
But your friend back in high school, the fencing guy, he got laid more in college, I'll bet, once he started taking steroids for fencing, and then he was all jacked. But he got caught because he put his fencing thing all the way through a guy's chest. Steroid fencing. It just he's like Vlad the Impaler with that goddamn thing now.
What's sad, funny, tragic about the whole thing is after Ohio State does its own investigation, they come forward and admit, oh shit, so many people were touched inappropriately, full on raped, molested,
the numbers are wild, man.
They're wild. And then after that, they say, we're going to do right by everyone. Oh, except if there's a lawsuit. Our bad. We hid it for decades, but we're not going to give any payouts. Like, they are still, and I did not expect that ending.
They were like, whoa. When we said do right by everybody, we meant a sincere apology. What's all this money talk?
This started in 2018. I think the first case was brought. Yeah. And it's 2025, and it ended with, they're still fighting it out in court. It just got good on the Supreme Court for Ohio's tried to take it all the way to the Supreme Court saying we don't want to pay these kids, or now they're adults, but either we don't want payouts. Yeah. They're amazing that they're still fighting it.
Yeah. And I mean, I think one thing that's screwing them over, two things. The doc pointed out one of them. I think it's harder to get the public.
I know where you're going.
As behind the victims. Like they were in the gymnastics case, because they're
Boys
going, these are
jacked
wrestlers. What are you talking about?
And they even showed social media. Why didn't you just smack them? Hold on, I want to interrupt you. Danger Aware Organization is here, and Danger Aware Organization teaches kids about self-awareness. And if you haven't seen it, we're talking about the Surviving Ohio State, the wrestlers that were abused by a doctor. And what Jake was just saying is absolutely true. It was like, oh, boys don't get molested. This is bullshit, even though it happened in the Catholic Church, in the Boy Scouts, but these were athletes.
These are jacked wrestlers, so they're going, oh, these kids could kick the shit out of the guy. And they could have. But, and this is what all the guys who were interviewed, like to a man, said, he would get a little weird with most of the athletes during the exams. Yeah. But he would only get like rapey with certain ones where he knew like this kid is from a poor family. He is only at this school because of the athletic scholarship. And so if this kid comes out against me, it's my word against him. I've been here since 79. They'll believe me. This kid loses his scholarship. And that's what they all said. It's like, yeah, I could have fucked this old man up. But now there's this little old man laying there bleeding. I'm going to go to jail and lose my scholarship if I do anything. So he was using this it was that he kind of put himself in a position of power above these kids. And the first actual student to really publicly press against him was actually someone who wasn't an athlete.
Not an athlete. Yeah.
He was not there on an athletic scholarship. So this guy didn't have, their entire
everything to
scholarship dangling over them. And so this guy was like, yeah, I fucking went to the school doctor because I was sick, and this guy, was fondling me. And
you got a cough? Let's check your balls. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so that's what really, he was the first one to really go hard public with it. And even then they convinced him to drop the case for a while, and lied out gave him a written, and good on him. Mm-hmm. They said, you're the first person to ever report this. We've never heard this before. And he said, I will drop the charges if I get it in writing. And maybe I remembered it wrong. Maybe whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe it was his wallet.
They put it in writing, and good on him for asking in writing. Yeah. But what you were just saying is, the hockey player, he fucked his entire life.
To my other point, though, they didn't. I think another thing that's kind of hurting the victims in this case in terms of getting payouts is the fact that Larry Nassar is still alive to face trial. This guy died back in 2005. So it's a lot of the same stuff there's more going on, I think, in terms of fame and all that, with like the Michael Jackson thing. And the people coming forward after his death, it's like, okay, it's your word against the dead guys. Yeah. You can't really, it's a tougher thing to do.
I hear that. I was just going to say the hockey guy, you talk about scholarships. He got he describes, first the guy is touching me. I'm so confused. I start drinking. I'm getting in fights. And he missed one practice. And the coach said, all right, you're off the team because you're toxic. You're a cancer. You've been starting fights. Yeah. He loses his scholarship, drops out. It fucked his whole life up. And someone like that absolutely deserves a payout. And the other guy just said, no, I sat on this for decades. He looks like he's doing fine, but it deserves a payout.
I think so. I mean, it's pretty wild. And at first I couldn't figure out, I'm like, why are they covering for this guy? And then they brought the steroids thing. I'm like, oh, it makes sense. Because at first I'm like, there's no way they don't believe this many of them. And this is, this is Jim Jordan. He's a super right-wing Republican homophobic guy. Like if there's one guy that's not going to tolerate a dude grabbing his wrestler's nuts, you'd think it would be that guy who doesn't even like consensual sex between two dudes, let alone something like this. You'd think he'd be on it, but no. And so I'm like, what are they? Is this like a toughness thing where like if you're not tough enough to get molested and keep your mouth shut, you're not tough enough to wrestle at Ohio State. You know what I mean? I'm like, why would they be covered? And then the steroids thing comes in. It's like, he was making their players better illegally, but B, more importantly, it's like, well, now he has dirt on all the coaches. Well, most of the coaches, not fencers. At least I assume fencers aren't doping. Again, I can't wait for that Netflix doc to come out. You know what I mean?
That'll be a good one. Danger Aware organization says that there are 7 stages to abuse, breaking them down: targeting, befriending, integrating, and then after that, indoctrinating, conspiracy, manipulation, and control. And I would say the documentary and the doctor fit that perfectly. He had all the guys, line them up, would, like you said, fondle some. Then he would target the ones he want. He tried befriending that one guy. He said, "Hey, let's do some modeling pictures. Come to my house, take your shirt off." Integrating. Okay, now you're part of this, and then. Yeah, Jordan's indoctrinated. He's got a cover for him.
Conspiracy. They got the whole school
doing. Yeah, manipulate. Yep, it's 100%. The loudest anti-mouse are the ones that end up tapping feet in airport bathrooms, though. Yeah. God, what was the name of that guy in the Minneapolis?
But I know the guy you're talking about.
We all know the reference. We all know the reference. But either way, fuck, man. We hate both political sides. But man, for the far right to just completely dismiss any accusations because Jim Jordan lies and says, they're all making it up. It's like, first of all, nobody should have voted for him in the first place when these came up. This documentary should end his political career.
Dude, if this guy wins his re-election after this, I would be fucking shocked. I mean, I can't imagine, again, if this was a Democrat, they're fucked too. Even if they're a Democrat in a bright blue state, they're going to get primaried out. Maybe they wouldn't lose to a Republican in general, but they're going to get taken out in the primaries. I think somebody primaries Jim Jordan on this.
They should, but we've said it a million times. Democrats are pussies. They hounded.
Yes, but HBO Max is not. So I think HBO Max kind of did the Democrats' heavy lifting on this.
Well, I'm just gonna say they hounded Al Franken out of office.
But that was a different situation, man. That was a different situation. That was the timing of it. They needed somebody to fall on the sword while the Me Too movement was kicking off. Otherwise, it just looks like, oh, you don't care when Clinton does it, but when a Republican does it, now you give a shit. They had to have one of their guys go down for a Me Too thing so they can go, see, we hold our side accountable. It was a timing thing. So they got that guy for a 1 out of 10, if that, and they treated it like it was
12. 12
I mean, he was nuts. So,
all right. In short, highly recommend Surviving Ohio State on HBO.
It's a tough one to watch. I'm not gonna lie. I watched the first half of it kind of high and drunk last night. I'm like, it's kind of a buzzkill, man. They really go into detail on this. Don't do it with weed. I'll tell you that right now. Maybe a bit of booze, but Christ, take a small dose if you're doing it with weed.
Documentary number 2. Now, Jake, you watched both. I don't have Netflix, so I only watched HBO. So I opened the first one. Was it called OceanGate or the Titan sub?
If you just look up docs on the submersible, there's 2 that just came out. And we're referring to the submersible that went down to go see the Titanic imploded, and it had the researchers. That billionaire and then the billionaire's 17-year-old son on it. Mm-hmm. Now there was 2 docs. You saw the one that I found more interesting just because of one guy. The Netflix one was still worth watching. It's a lot of the same, but the Netflix one did have more of the people on the boat that worked there, whereas I believe the HBO Max one, just had 2 people,
a couple dissenters. That was it. They didn't really interview a lot of people.
There was more, and then it also showed. So I thought a lot of the people that were still on the boat were lawyered up and all that, and just not talking. No, there was more of them. It's such a weird scenario because at first I saw a trailer for this, and they're talking about the CEO guy and him being he's evil and controlling, and he should have known and this and that. And I was like, okay, it feels like they're gonna do what the Netflix Firefest doc did. Where if you remember the Firefest doc,
I remember
Netflix, they all basically were like, we were tricked by this criminal mastermind. It's like, it's a 22-year-old in boat shoes. What the fuck are you guys talking about? You're all in your 30s, 40s, 50s. You've been in this industry for decades. That guy got you? He's not Hannibal Lecter. Come on, he's not Kevin Spacey and The Usual Suspects. Come on, he's not. But this guy, this is a little bit scarier because I'm like, I would have fallen for this one. You know what I mean? If I wanted to go into a submersible, this is the guy who would be going down there with good equipment, reputable people. He's like this old-timey Connecticut, New England, old money Illuminati guy. He had 2 ancestors that signed the Declaration of Independence. He's got all this money. His wife is a Macy's heir. That would be the guy who would have this crazy expensive submersible. You could go see the Titanic. If anybody's going to be able to do it.
I think you bumped your mic.
What do you mean?
It's rumbling.
It's rumbling?
Or is that thunder?
That's
thunder. That's thunder outside my window. It started like it sounded like that.
Okay.
So that's thunder. Rich is late. Don't worry about it. Okay, so I hear you'd follow him, but
no, that would be the guy that would do it though, man. He's got his dad was the guy who he was the CEO of like the Bilderberg group. You know what I mean? Those guys that go out there, Alex Jones filmed them in the woods, you know what I mean? Doing crazy Illuminati shit with that owl. I don't know what's going on out there, but this guy does. So I'm like,
they're a level deeper than the Freemasons.
That's right. He's what the Freemasons were 200 years ago. Of course, he's got a thing that can go to the Titanic. Fuck it. He's got the money. He's got the connections. This is the guy that's going to get you down there, you know?
But then you start hearing, I mean, so I can't compare because I only saw the HBO one, but my God, all I think of the key point to that one was the woman, I can't think of her name, one of the engineers, who after the loud pop crack showing that the carbon fiber had been destabilized, tried bringing it up and then said, I have to quit, and was told, yeah, you quit. You don't fit in here. You're not adventurous enough. It is like, I'm not trying to be adventurous. I'm trying to be safe. And I got the impression that it was almost like Surviving Ohio State, where it was one guy sort of controlling and a bunch of people saying this, because everybody that testified in HBO, because it was fewer people, was someone that quit or was fired because they stood up to him and said, this is a bad idea, and they're gone.
Here's the thing. It was in Netflix, too. Netflix had more of them. There was a ton of people that did that. Where
all stood up to him.
Yeah. And we're like, hey, this is wildly unsafe. So basically, they were using a carbon fiber hull for this thing. Now,
and wait, let me interrupt. My favorite part about that was it said carbon fiber space age. And I'm like, you know what space doesn't have? Pressure. Lots and lots of pressure on it. Like, you're talking, but either way, go ahead.
But they had been using it for other submersibles. They just weren't going as deep, right? So this isn't that fucking crazy of an idea. Like, it's not. So all other than this one, I guess, submersibles that do go, thousands of meters to the deepest depths of the ocean are made of like steel or titanium, right? Yeah. Reason to pick carbon fiber, cheaper and more importantly, lighter. So you can kind of maneuver it around, that thing that James Cameron took to the bottom of the, what was it? That
Marianas Trench? Yes,
the Marianas Trench. Now that thing was actually, that went like, I think 3 times deeper than this, actually, because it's like the deepest part of the ocean. It was made out of steel, but it's not the most maneuverable. You're kind of just going down there. And whereas this thing, carbon fiber, you can move it around a little more, stuff like that. So that's why he wanted to do it. And then at first you're kind of thinking like, oh, well, they just must not have had enough testing or experienced enough people or enough sensors to detect this. No, they had all of that. They sent these things down there, smaller versions of this without people. They were cracking. They were imploding. All of that happened. And then he started sending it down with just him in there. And it was, but what happens is this carbon fiber, it gets these microscopic cracks in there.
Right.
And if you have enough, a guy on the Netflix doc did a good comparison, right? I don't know if you've ever used carbon fiber skis, but if you bend a carbon fiber ski a little bit, you'll hear these little, almost like
pops,
styrofoam, and it's fine. But if you keep bending it enough, after enough of these pops at a certain kind of undefined point, and you won't really be able to, I say undefined because you won't really be able to tell when it's about to happen, but eventually enough of these crack, it'll just completely break, right? So they're not just hearing the normal cracks and bends that happen when these things move. They're hearing like loud pops where these things are actually like snapping.
Yeah.
And then what's going on is they're taking this thing that had carbon fiber in it that was damaged already, and now they're going back down again with carbon fiber that's already been broken and damaged. So it's getting more and more damage each time they go down there. And they actually had to replace the hull once because there was such a big crack in the thing that it was visible, and they found it. And then they just went and made another carbon fiber hull again. It was like, oh, it's better carbon fiber or whatever. But at that point, I'm like, dude, you got all that Illuminati Bilderberg money. You know, you're like, you and your wife are like New England blue blood royalty. Just get a fucking steel or a titanium one, man. Like figure out what kind of stuff you need to move that around, because you gave it the college try,
or just do it. Even if you don't want to even if you can't navigate it, people are going down there. Just get one that works. Literally, just get one that works. Because like you said, they tested it, failed. They tested it, failed. They tested it, failed. They tested it, failed. All right, let's put it into service. What the fuck?
Right? Yeah, it's nuts. It's nuts.
Insane.
Yeah,
my favorite part of
fail and then decide I'm going to put myself in it and just see what maybe it'll work with a bigger one and me in it. I mean, that's what the guy said, and that's what he did. Oh, it was further up. It was in Canada. This fucking thing was way up there.
Yeah, and so that freaked me out. But the fact that was it from the History Channel? The documentarian, the guy that did specials on weird or interesting things. This is the HBO side. There's a guy with a beard that was filming a segment for a TV show, and at the end of it,
I do remember this.
And he said, "We can't air this. We can't promote this. This is not safe," because he was in the sub during a test, and everything shut down. Nothing worked, and he's like, he thought he was filming a documentary of this new thing, and when his test run was over, he said, "We can't air this," and he told his bosses, "I know you spent a ton of money flying me down here and filming it, and you thought you'd have something to air. We cannot promote this sub. It would be, irresponsible because this is not safe." And they pulled the program, and because they didn't want to show one that said this is unsafe because they could get sued. But to me,
that's how obvious it was, because that's not a scientist who's working on the team. Right. That's not, he's not on the crew at all. He's just a guy who's going in there, sitting there, going down, filming things. And he's like, "Yeah, this is fucked. This is way dangerous." And
the first thing he said, I believe it was him. He was the first one to point out. Maybe they mentioned it earlier, but he really said, most submarines, and I think all the pods like the James Camerons, not most submarines, all submarines, and I think the James Cameron pods, they have the hatch, the wheel. It seals. You crank it from both sides. Yeah. This
from the top.
From the top. Yeah. Either way, this is bolted on. There is no exit, no entrance.
It's bolted on from the front. The entire
from the front. That's what I'm saying. They take the front off. Yeah. Everybody gets in, and then they bolt it shut. So once you are in, he said, there's no emergency exit. There's no way to get out. Literally, you have to wait till the bolts are removed. And I thought that I would not get in something like that. I would have shown up and like, "Oh, we're going to the Titanic. All right, where's the hatch? Oh, you don't have one? We get bolted in." Yeah, not interested. Not that you're going to get out, at such a depth, but just the idea that there was no exit.
I mean, here's the thing. That guy, again, it's a thing he invented himself. So certain things are going to work different. You know what I mean? Like you kind of, I think you can justify that in your head, right? The guy I want to talk about is the guy who was one of the investors that went down with him. He was the guy that had the cold eyes of a serial killer. The bald guy with the cold eyes of a serial killer.
He's the one that really didn't want to testify. He just sort of gave short answers, correct?
Yeah.
Like, did you feel unsafe?
Well, dude, this guy, like I said, I would have gotten in it with the guy because I'm like, this guy has the connections. He's got the money. He's surrounded by experts. Like there's a whole crew. You're going out there on this massive ship that this thing's being trained, and it's just filled with scientists and divers and all this stuff. And so it's like, yeah, I could see how someone would be like, this guy knows his shit. So that guy is going down on him because he was one of the big investor guys. He's going down on him. Yeah. So he's blowing him in the submersible, and and he's like, "Oh my God, did you hear a crack?" And he was like, "No, keep sucking." No. So anyway, they're about to go, and this is the first one where they've actually had an investor with, right? And they have to kind of dump this thing in the water on a ramp. Now it gets stuck on the ramp, and as we were just talking about, they bolt the entire front of this thing. It's got like glass, so you can see out of it. They bolt it all on, right? So they're sitting there on the ramp waiting to get unstuck. and the entire front just falls the fuck off. Just falls the fuck off. Now they're going to go down to 4,000 meters. They're at -1 meter. They haven't even touched the water, and the fucking thing is falling apart, right? So they're just like, oh my God.
But two things. Do you remember they said, one, they had only bolted 4 of 18 bolts. So that's... It's supposed to take 18 bolts. They'd only used 4, but they even
It's a weird place to save money on. It's a weird. I like saving money where you can do it, but Jesus Christ, yeah.
But they also then they tried to justify it by what you said, saying, "Well, when you get down that low, the pressure will be keeping it on." I remember that quote. They said, "When you get into the water, the pressure will push the hull on and keep it sealed." I'm like, holy shit, that is some. I mean, they're not wrong in a way, but I mean that's also like anything can shear, even if you have the pressure on it. Yeah. I'm like.
The weight of the door was enough to rip it off what they were using to keep it on in a submarine. You know what I mean? Like, that's fucking crazy. So,
but like then he gets on the next. He wants to get on the next one.
That's the craziest thing to me. I'm like, oh my God. So this guy, he's sitting there. He watches the front of this thing fall the fuck off when it's going to take him to the bottom of the goddamn ocean. The little combination lock of Davy Jones' locker. That's how deep they're going, all the way to that thing. So that it falls off in front of him, and he's like, "Oh, hey, sorry about this. You want to come out on the next one when we fix the door?" And he was like, "Yeah, I'll go with." And then he did, and then he went on another one a few in the future. Even if I was crazy enough to go again, I ain't going on the very next one. I'd be like, "Nah, I'm gonna let you fix this door thing, and fine tune it with the other people." And then I'll do it maybe, I don't know, 10 more times after this.
But then again, you want to go on the very next one because that's the one where they've done all the safety measures, because it wasn't the one where it cracked, where it imploded. It's when they did it 7 more times after.
Well,
it's like, it cracked at
but
one.
It didn't, but this guy wouldn't, to be fair though, this guy wouldn't have known about that whole situation.
No, he
with the hole and the crack and it getting weakened each time they go up and down.
Yeah.
But like, you would be thinking, oh, no, your biggest concern is like this thing just staying the fuck together. And so, yeah, at that point, you're like, let him try it out again. Like if there was a guy that like built his own aircraft, you know what I mean? Like he's Elon Musk's son, and I'm building my own aircrafts. You know what I mean? He's got the money, he's got the connections, all that. He's got a place out in Long Island. I'm like, yeah, it's this guy, of course, this would be the guy that could take me up in the air and something that he made. You get out there, it's a little funny looking, but it's like, yeah, it's Musk's kid. He's doing this with $11 trillion in his pocket. He's got the best plane.
He doesn't need to cut corners. He can put on all 18
and he's got
bolts.
A whole crew of people. They're all wearing matching clothes going, ready to fly, sir? And he's like, oh, I am, and it's like, all right, well, this is going to be good. And then we're sitting there on the runway and a fucking wing falls off. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. And he's like, oh, I'll have him fix the wing. You want to go up tomorrow? No, I ain't going up tomorrow. Nah. The wing just fell the fuck off your little homemade toy rocket or whatever you got going on here. I ain't getting on an aircraft with you ever.
Well,
so that guy was the craziest guy to me. Because you play Monday morning quarterback with a lot of these scammers. You go, oh, it's so obvious.
I never would have. Yeah.
And some of the time that's true. But I like to put myself like, honestly, would I have fallen for this? Firefest, no. This yet. Yes. But after the sub falls apart, before it even touches water, you think I'm getting in one again? It didn't even touch water, bro. It got splashed a little and the door fell off. When I say door, I mean the entire front part of the sub. Like, what do you... No.
And I guess I didn't understand that either. I'm not a big into subs, but every single little submersible 2-person, every single one I've seen launched is launched from a crane. The fact that they took it on a raft and then just like tipped it off, like that made no sense to me. Every single one gets put into the water and then released. Why that one gets floated out and dropped, I thought that was odd.
I mean, it probably works just because it just depends on the shape of them. You look at the shape of a lot of them, they don't have that kind of, they're kind of, they got weird shapes there, but they don't have that round, smooth thing you can just push. Whatever, man. Like getting in the water, I'm not really concerned about how it gets in the water as much as I am like, will it stay together in the water? If it's near the water and falls the fuck apart, no way, dude. No way. If I get into an experimental aircraft and it falls apart on the runway, I ain't going in the sky with that motherfucker. And I don't consider myself a coward, but like there's having balls and then there's having an insane death wish. And if you get back in that after it falls apart, being near the water, again, not even touching the water, there's zero pressure right now, nothing. It just falls apart. No, I'm out, dude.
Well, John Denver should have listened to you.
That's right. But again, you know, if John Denver had been in that same plane with the dude the day before and a wing fell off, I doubt he would have gotten in it the day after. Like, that's all I'm saying. But this guy did.
Let's hit a couple news stories before we get out of here. We got 3 of them because we could talk about anything. Iran Israeli conflict, but I want to talk about. Let's see. I didn't even send you a link. I want to talk about the clip. Ted Cruz on Tucker Carlson. Did you watch any of those clips?
That was beautiful. I saw some of the clips.
Oh my God. The best tweet I saw was Ted Cruz has done a lot of horrible things, but the worst has to be making Tucker Carlson the voice of reason. I mean, my favorite clip of all of them was, what's the population of Iran? And then they start talking about that. He just literally wants to bomb Iran, not understanding that Iran is kind of like America. It's got a lot of good people and a shitty government. They're doing shitty things. I'm not opposed to bombing their nuclear facilities, but you make it seem like that Iran and its people are horrible. Yeah, I go after their nuclear facilities, bomb all their ships, sink them. But just the idea that it's an evil empire and needs to be wiped out. No, it's full of good people. They're just getting fucked by 2 governments having a dick swinging contest.
I disagree with you and Tucker Carlson completely. I think that we should be boots on the ground in Iran. We have never, ever invaded a Middle East country and occupied it and ever had it bite us in the ass. I think we should do this again. This is the reason Iraq and Afghanistan are the utopias they are today. 20 more years, I say. 20 more years. When has it ever bitten us in the ass?
Never. I sent you this morning. I just saw an article where apparently last night or this morning, both Russia and China condemned Israel's actions in Iran and said the U.S. should fuck off. And that's hilarious considering what Russia's doing to Ukraine and how silent China is being about Russia's doing to Ukraine. That's funny.
Well,
you gotta love hypocrisy.
They want us to bomb Iran. They would love to get us into a long, expensive proxy war. I mean, it's you know.
That's why it's so beautiful that Israel's doing it.
I like that the right's actually given pushback on this one. You know, you do have like the old school Fox News Republicans who are just like, no, weapons of mass destruction. They hate us for our freedoms. We got to bomb them. They're like reusing scripts from 20 years ago. But a lot of the
did you see that clip of Netanyahu?
All that on the right? Which one?
I guess it was on the Daily Show, which I haven't seen yet. But have you seen? There's a popular. There's a popular clip. It's a woman sitting. She's going, "Show me 2 clips that have the exact same energy." Have you ever seen her? It's viral as fuck. It's just a woman, and then people stitch. So she just says, "Show me 2 clips that have the exact same energy," and people find 2 different clips that are sort of amusing but relate, and they're generally amusing. With this one, someone took Benjamin Netanyahu from, I'm going to make this up, 2002, 2003, saying Iran has the capability to have nuclear weapons within 2 months. And then 2025, Iran just, he said the same script. I think
the first one, like 96.
Yeah.
He's been saying this since the Clinton administration. Like, we need to stop Iran from getting a nuke. They're going to have it in 2 weeks. And so it's like, okay.
All right. Next story.
Not for nothing. None of the media ever brings up like, well, Israel's got nukes, you know? Is that going to be, how come that's not part of the negotiations? Maybe Iran wouldn't feel the need to have a nuke so bad if Israel didn't have a nuke. The country that just bombed them.
Because Israel will use their nukes responsibly, because Israel is a Jewish state, nukes are expensive, and Jews are cheap. I'm getting canceled. I'm getting canceled. Let's make some Jewish jokes and get canceled.
A nice Nice anti-Semitic joke.
Yes, got to throw it in there so that someone can take it out of context with the fact that I acknowledge that it's an anti-Semitic joke. That's the only context.
I mean, because honestly, look, even without Israel having nukes, right?
Yes.
If Iran, let's say they got a nuke tomorrow and they launched it at Israel, right? Even if Israel didn't have a nuke, we would swoop down on Iran. Like the response to that would be insane. It would be
turn the country to glass without. We wouldn't even need nukes. We would just hit them with everything.
Iran would cease to exist if they launched a nuke at anybody. You know what I mean? So the idea that, well, if Israel didn't have a nuke, Iran would use a nuke. I mean, it's just not true. I mean, they still have us there backing them up. So I mean, the response would be the same. Iran knows the response would be the same either way. It would come from us for the most part.
And that's why I think this posturing by Trump is interesting. The idea that we might use our bunker. We just need to sit back because, Iran, they're running out of missiles. They're saying that their responses are tempered because they don't have the stockpiles we and Israel do. So yeah, we can wait this one out. We can just wait it out.
Well, and it's like, it's looking bad. Trump going hard with Israel at Iran right now because of two reasons, really. For one thing, Obama did have a nuclear deal in place with Iran, and the right would be like, "Oh, but it wasn't perfect. It wasn't this or that." It's like, yeah, it's called a negotiation. It's called diplomacy. Like, what do you know what I mean? Like this, and then Trump did away with it in his first term, right? There's that. There's also the fact that like when the U.S. invaded Iraq, we were still kind of fresh on the heels of 9/11. Yep. And so people here were a little more willing to go along with something like that because they were like, look, there's a conspiracy of people out to get us that spreads throughout different countries, and this is one of the countries. So I think the vast majority of people here, and especially the people in office, were going, yeah, do whatever you got to do to make that shit not happen again. We didn't just have a 9/11. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's people aren't sitting here. No one is freaked out by Iran in this guy. No one is sitting there going, oh, the cost of my mortgage is too high because of that fucking regime in Iran. No one is truly fearful.
I bet they could sell it though if they tried.
Oh, they're trying on Fox News, and Tucker Carlson is going hard against it. You know what I mean? And I almost felt bad for Ted Cruz in that because Ted Cruz.
But then I remembered he's Ted Cruz.
Well, yeah. It's hilarious, but I just feel bad for him in the terms of he didn't know he had to do homework for this. He wasn't sitting down with Rachel Maddow. You know what I mean? He thought he was going to sit down with his old buddy Tucker, and he was going to be able to.
He thought he was going to get a Dr. Strauss ball tickle. Like, hey, we're friends.
Yeah, that's right. He thought he was just going to have to show up and say Iran bad, America good. He thought that's all he had to say in the interview, and now he's asking him questions actually about Iran. Like, that's not. I mean, he didn't sign up for that.
I will say this: if I support America supporting Israel and or going to war with Iran, it would be for one reason and one reason only. I did see a clip the other day of, and I love all these, Muslims angry at Trump, like Dearborn, Michigan, saying, Trump has lied to us, Trump has betrayed to us, he said he was going to be the peaceful president. It's like, you're the dumbest motherfuckers on the planet. You are so fucking stupid. Sure, yeah. It's like the Cubans for Trump or Latinos for Trump. Is like the fact that they all said, Kamala's just more bombing Joe or whatever the nickname they had.
Genocide Joe.
What's that?
Genocide Joe. Genocide
Joe. That's what it was.
Right.
Yeah, we're voting for Trump, and now they're pissed at him. You're fucking stupid. When you say you're angry, you should look in the mirror because you're fucking stupid. That's the only reason I support it, because that shit makes me laugh.
To be fair, now, I don't think people that were actually calling Biden Genocide Joe, I'd be shocked if any of them actually voted for Trump. What they probably did is either didn't vote at all or vote third party.
Jill Stein got a big chunk of Dearborn. Right. Like it might have been her biggest percentage in the country. I'm not going to say that factually, but she did get a big.
And now they clearly did not listen to anything Trump ever said on Israel, because every time it was brought up to him,
it was pro-Israel.
Wildly pro-Israel. Like, I think he constantly would say
he moved Jerusalem. He moved the capital to Jerusalem. Yeah,
but I'm talking throughout this campaign, though.
Yeah,
when asked about it, he would say, "I think Netanyahu should get in there and finish the job." What the fuck do you think that means?
Todd Rubel says they blame gas prices on this one. Of course, that is true because gas prices can be tied to any skirmish. All right.
That's true. Believe it or not, OPEC, if it's raining outside, they'll say we need to raise gas prices.
All right. 2 more quick stories. Not a lot of time for this stuff because we're going over. 3 more quick stories really fast. I love that the Trump Don Jr. said that they're putting out a new Trump phone. It's going to be out soon, and it's made in America, except every single expert has come out and said, did someone build a factory here that we don't know about?
Right. I was going to say, you're not doing any interviews with, my name's Curtis. I work at Trump's phone factory.
And they've already found the phone it's based on. They're like, this looks exactly like this Chinese phone. So that's funny. 2, a story. Trump officials reverse pause on immigration raids targeting farms and hotels. Everybody said all through the campaign, you go after immigrant farm workers, it's going to fuck everything up. And finally, he's listening after months of complaints. That's funny. But then,
reason he's doing that is because
American Consulate to Jerusalem. Yes, that's what it was.
Big donors and the people that run those industries are telling
own the hotels and the factory farms. Yes,
and so a lot of his supporters are realizing that Donald Trump very much is greedy before he is racist. You know what I mean? I mean, he's both of those things, but he's way greedy first. He hates them damn illegals unless they're building his hotel.
And picking his tomatoes and strawberries. All right.
And not for nothing, Alabama tried that once.
I did. I remember the tomato. They had pictures of tomatoes rotting everywhere.
You can find clips of like Alabama farmers who they're pretty far from left. They, in the overalls and everything going, I supported this because I wanted to put Alabamans back to work, but unfortunately, none of them want to come work. So
yeah, I remember that.
We need them back.
Final story. Jury finds MyPillow founder Mike Lindell defamed former employee for a leading voting equipment company. He just lost. Now, this is interesting because the guy was suing for $62.7 million and he won $2.3 million. The only question I have is how long before, so Lindell won't pay it. He just won't. He'll get found guilty of contempt. He'll get sentenced to prison or something and Trump will pardon him. That's where I see this going.
Well, but I believe though, this is civil court. So it's harder to, can the president pardon the civil court?
He can't negate the win. What I'm saying is, Lindell will not pay it, and then he'll be found guilty of guilty of something, and then he'll get forgiven for that, and it'll all get wiped clean. Yeah. Like he all he has to do is wait this out. He won't pay. He'll get found in contempt. He'll get convicted of something. Like, okay, you're not paying. You have to, and Trump will get him out somehow. That's how this all happens.
Yeah, that's true. Ultimately, you do need the criminal courts to enforce the civilian courts. I didn't think about that. That's too bad. Yeah. Because I was going to say, dude, before you pointed that out, I was about to sign up as a poll worker, man. Some of these poll workers, Jesus, these settlements.
Those 2 women got paid. Yeah, this guy got paid. Yeah,
they're getting 8-9 figure settlements for these guys talking shit on them. I'm going to sign up as a poll worker and just be the most obnoxious. I'm going to show up with all kinds of Trump's a Nazi pin, all this shit, and just, you know what I mean? Just Instagram live. I'm a poll worker, and all these Republicans are racist, sexist, homophobic Nazis. This is 1930s Germany. People come out and vote. Like, I'm going to be the most annoying dude. And then they're going to be like, well, shit, we got to go after this guy. I mean, clearly that guy's rigging the election. Look at him.
And then you will get paid.
Yep.
All right. Trump is going to give pillar contracts for the concentration immigration ICE facilities. I love the correction, Todd Rubel. I mean, nice. All right. I am Nathan. Before we sign off, Surviving Ohio State on HBO. Absolutely recommend it. There are 2 documentaries, one on HBO, one on Netflix about the Titan sub that went to the Titanic. I recommend the HBO one because I saw that. Jake saw both. Which one do you recommend better than the other?
Probably the HBO one, just because it's got that crazy guy that went on again after the front fell off. That to me was the wildest thing about it. Netflix was still worth watching just because it did have more people from the crew, and I was kind of wondering what was going on with them. But just know that, yeah, there's way more on the crew than just those two people that kind of went out against that guy.
All right. I am Nathan Timmel. I can be found at nathantimmel.com. My special is called Unapologetic. It's on YouTube. I have a t-shirt store. I have books on Amazon. Jake can be found on all social media at Jake Vevera, Vevera, including his YouTube special, Unalived by Dog Pills. We're trying to work out next week. It might be Friday again. It might be Thursday. Jake has something. I have something. And then after next week, we should be back to Saturdays, fingers crossed.
Cool. We'll probably do Friday next week. Yeah, if we do it earlier like this, I can probably do it on Friday.
Okay, good. I got one July that I'm thinking about where I'm in St. Louis with the family. But other than that, cool. All right. Thanks for hanging out, everyone. We appreciate you following us around as we jump from time zone to time zone.
Netanyahu's favorite politician is Jim Jordan, because that guy will turn his back on anything.